Hey everybody, so I'm being told by Andy that it's time for me to get started. So I appreciate you guys inviting me out here to speak on technology. My name is Brian Hagenbrock, and those who don't know me, I'm an attorney from Savannah, Tennessee, with the Hagenbrock, and got a couple slides to go through, but basically my purpose today is to give y'all some understanding of technology, kind of demystify it a little bit, and show you guys ways that can help you practice and to give a better client service. So, if you don't know me, my last name is terribly hard to say, and so the funniest way people have gotten mixed up is to call me the heir to the ice cream dynasty. I wish that was not the case. I wish I really was part of the Hagenbrock ice cream, but I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. And if you're wondering why I may have any kind of qualifications to talk to you today about this, I've got a few things that I can kind of blend into this area. I'm a nerd from Collierville, Tennessee. I was building computers before I could drive cars. So I've done coding and other things in the past. And as far as providing clients with a better customer service experience, I come from customer service and come from a family of attorneys. I grew up just waiting tables, working as a bartender. I have sold cars. People find out I was a former used car salesman. I don't know if they regret hiring me or not, but that is part of the past of mine. So that customer service and sales combined with the technology, I think kind of enables me to give you guys a good perspective on how to help people with technology in this profession. My wife and I own Hagenbrock and Hagenbrock. It's a firm over in Savannah. So I know a couple of y'all here today. You guys may have cases with me, but we do cases in state and federal court. I'm licensed in Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas. And so this is kind of what we do. We do a lot of domestic practice, and so I'm here today to kind of give you guys some tips. So I think we all know in this profession that client satisfaction is critical to our success. And I think in experience and what I have seen, when I talk about attorneys about, the statistics are also kind of bear this out, that happy clients seem to talk less about you than unhappy clients. And so an unhappy client statistically will tell up to 20 people how unhappy they were, as opposed to an unhappy client or happy client, 5 to 7 people. And so I think what kind of dovetails with that is one of the most common complaints against lawyers and one of the most commonly cited reasons for EPR issues with lawyers is client communication. Client communication is so critical to our success, and that is such a way that technology becomes. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Domino's pizza tracker, but they spent $1 million to create this little widget, and it would tell you everything about your $10, $15 cheese pizza. It would tell you when Steve put it in the oven, when Steve took it out of the oven, when it got into the car to come to your house. When you order an Uber, it tells you, when the person accepted the Uber request, and you can even track that car coming all the way to your house, coming to pick you up. And I think if we kind of subtract this legal experience that we have in this world and ask ourselves, what is the level of customer service expectation that these people have for us? That's what they expect from us. They expect the McDonald's of the attorneys that can just deliver product immediately. They expect status updates on their cases immediately. And I think there's a lot of ways that technology can help us do that. And so that's kind of what I'm here focusing on. There's also obviously ethical rules associated with it. We have a duty to keep our clients informed, to keep them reasonably updated as to the progression of their things. And I think so there's kind of pros and cons when you start adding additional technology to your legal office suite. Obviously, the benefits are you can have a little bit more stable office sometimes. Think COVID. If you got your stuff stored in the cloud versus just physical files where there can be an office fire or something like that, it's going to be secure. Client satisfaction, the statistics bear that out, that the more kind of technology you integrate into your office as far as text messaging and other things I'll tell you about today, it yields a higher customer satisfaction rating. Employee satisfaction, you're helping your people out. The people who work for you, making their life easier by giving them tools that they can do without that. Also, revenue can actually increase security. I think sometimes one of the biggest knocks on technology people have is, how do I know it's secure? You know, what if there's a data leak or something like that? But when you come into the technology space, what you see is that you have documents that can be merged over here. You can see changes that everybody has made sequentially over a number of months, weeks, or years. You can review the metadata to see everything that's been done to that particular file. If you got nothing but paper files, you don't really get to see that as well. So you can provide a level of security for your files, it gives you more information about the files. And as far as the concerns, obviously there's data breaches and things. That's why it's important on us to do the investigation into who we decide to store our important client data. Also, if you don't use a reputable company, somebody that is like, how do you know? How do you know that this technology isn't just some dude in his grandma's basement who made the software, right? And so you have a duty to do your due diligence to make sure that this is a sizable outfit, a company that can handle and protect your data. I fall victim to what I call the shiny new object syndrome, and that is just, you know, kind of dovetails with the overwhelming of the staff. It's just constantly trying to do new stuff. There's a whole bunch of things that are out there. There's apps that you can find and kind of giving your staff time to kind of get integrated using these services. And there's an initial time investment, but I think at the end, if you choose the right services, it can pay off. Obviously, this is just kind of some of the basic background technology things that people do for law firms. They'll get a website, they'll do online. The one that we'll talk about a little later is the VoIP phone services. During COVID, that was huge for my firm. We made the switch to internet phone services before COVID, and then when it hit, everybody was kind of working from home. I had a phone that all I had to do was to plug it into my Ethernet jack in my home, and I could send and receive phone calls from that device, and it would look like it was coming from my office. And so I didn't have to do anything. There was zero setup. All I had to do for my people who wanted to work from home is grab your phone and just plug it into the internet jack. That's all we can do. So it gives you a lot of available options that you don't have with the standard phone. But these are just some of the technology resources that I don't know about y'all, but keeping your digital files organized, I think it can be sometimes a full-time job. And making sure that you got your files organized, making sure it's just not the digital files, physical files as well. So the question is, how do you kind of stay organized? And I think, just as a preface to this conversation, that there are different suites of services. So, for example, there are things called LPMs or law practice management softwares, and they are kind of more of an umbrella service. They offer a lot of different things. They can do calendar, notes, and they can help you with billing. It's just a one-stop shop for everything with your law practice management. And so what you're going to see in the next few slides is there's some pros and cons. But for the first one, that's what the law practice management service is. It's a single one-stop shop that's going to get you about 98% of the way there. It's going to give your clients the ability to even sometimes text message with you, upload documents for you. And so there's a couple of these like common big names in this space who do that, and you kind of just sign up with them and you're ready to go. You got everything bundled right there. Statistically, based on the 2022 legal trends report that was published by Clio, you found that client satisfaction increases, employee performance increases, revenue increases, and employee satisfaction increases, just based on strictly whether they use a cloud-based law practice management service or a non-cloud-based or a non-practice management software. So what does this mean historically? I guess the trends from what they have did with the legal trends report says that people who use a cloud-based law practice management software are 43% more likely to have satisfied clients. And the statistics also bear that out with the relationship with clients, relationships with colleagues, and just your professional life, being able to address that. These law practice services can be cloud-based, meaning that you can be in court, look on your phone, if the question is asked about a particular date, or a note, or a document, and you can access it just through your phone, through the internet, right then and there. So people who can do that, historically, can be more responsive with their clients, with the court, and have better professional lives and relationships with clients. So what does this mean? It just means that by utilizing these services, it makes life easier for you. us are super busy in this profession. It feels like we're all just out running constantly on the treadmill and every other day. I feel like we just finished another marathon. And I think if there's anything we can do to help ourselves as far as creating some additional oxygen so we can give back to the community or we can have more time to just relax, recharge, and get back to our families, all of us. These are some of the names, and I think Amy has given this powerful slide out. So you'll see at the end of each of these segments, I'm trying to give you the services. You know, I'm not like a rep for any of these folks, but these are some of the bigger names that I've seen. So if you guys don't use a law practice management service or file-based one, here's some of the lists that I have seen that are kind of recurring names in this space. And personally, the one that I use is Priya, but I've also heard that my case is really good. I've worked in a big personal injury firm in Memphis, who use another one called Needles, but there's a lot of them that exist out there, and you know, some bigger players. Another option that you have is some people say, well, man, it's expensive. You know, it can be more expensive if I go with this big name outfit. I prefer to just get only specific services that I need, like for example, a calendar service or a text message service only. And I have seen other attorneys go out and kind of piece everything together to make their own kind of law practice management software of their own, using a bunch of different services that exist. And you know, using things like Monday.com or Asana, Google as well for calendar. So some people can do that as well. The benefits to having it fully customized that way is that you know, you can actually have better cost control. I had a situation having to do an update that I didn't like, and I was like, oh, what do I do now? I gotta re-outfit my whole office to transition to a different suite. And so if you're using just these individualized services, they're easier to switch out, or if they raise their rates, it's easier to get another company instead. And if you're familiar with that phrase, the jack of all trades is master of none. There's actually the second part of that phrase, which is, but oftentimes is better than master of one. And what I have found is that those cloud-based services, you have everything together all in one place, talk better. Their services are integrated better. When a client calls us and a note, they get automatic calendar or a task for someone in your office to call them back or do something else or take some further action. So by using a cloud-based service, it actually kind of the things we communicate make our one designer. And so don't be discouraged though if there's other services you want. There are ways, kind of more technologically advanced ways to make services talk that don't otherwise talk. But I think a big thing for folks to realize is that a lot of us today use a lot of services that give us options that we don't have to pay for. So I use Microsoft Office 365. With Microsoft Office 365, I get a whole bunch of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I get, and if you use it, that you get it, you may not even know you get it. There's a calendaring function, there's a form builder, there's all sorts of things that you get just by being a Microsoft user that if you're not paying attention, you may think that you even have access to. And the same goes if you're in the Google suite and you use Gmail or Google Calendar, there's a whole bunch of tools that Google has that you don't need to go out and pay somebody for because they're already paying for it. You just don't know. Obviously, we have a duty under Rule 116 to make sure that we safeguard our clients' data, and that is to take reasonable measures that we safeguard our clients' data. And so I think just an elementary understanding and doing some investigation into what exists, how they protect our data is important to do. I think it's something that we ought to kind of be able to explain in the event somebody asks us to make sure this company we're trusting their client is actually protected. I think that's something that is important for us to do. But also at the same time, I don't think the rules require us to be, you know, some kind of computer science career. And the TBA has a lot of information on this. There's a full profile on the Texas Bar Association website that talks about ways to change the email encryption, insider software, and all sorts of things. So there's a ton of resources that exist that I just wanted to all right, so I guess the question is, this is all kind of boring, but what does it do that really help me? How do I use this in my practice? And so what I did is I divided this presentation really into 3 parts. There's the intake, the first phase, then there's beginning the case, and then there's kind of the continuing the case section that I've added to that. So And these are just things that I have done or seen that were helpful because I've spent a lot of time in this area. So if you guys think it's helpful for you, just let me know. I'll share with anybody any information that I've got on this. If anybody wants to see how I set my stuff up, I can show you how you set your stuff up the same way. But going through the intake phase, this is good for us. Things that I think people can get to help them are calendar, text messaging, electronic signatures, and receiving payments online. So what you can do with the calendar service, I don't know if you guys are in this issue, I've run this issue with a lot, where somebody wants to schedule a phone call with me, or I'm wanting to talk to me. You can get into that exchange back and forth of, hey, I've got these 3 times, so they work for you, and they can reply, and no, none of those 3 times work for me, but these other 3 times, and they can sometimes be hard to connect. And so you can use calendaring functions to kind of assist with that. And so I'll give you this is one that we have used. And I just push out the say, set up when it's convenient for me. And so I've done this before with opposing councils. I've done this before with the clients. And what that does is that looks at my calendar. I already predetermined times where I would choose to speak to folks. And so it's not going to give available times that I don't want them to have, for example, in the afternoon. And it'll look at my calendar. If I already got an appointment during that time, it's not going to show up as an available time. So rather than kind of going back and forth on those, ping pongs and trying to get the right time set up, I can just push out this link and say, no problem, let's talk, choose your time. And I think that really kind of saved me a lot of time and energy, saved a lot of time staff, and constantly going back and forth. Here are some of the kind of options that people have they want in that area, but also the cloud-based services like Leo, live-based can also provide those services. So text messaging. So I don't know if anybody is text messaging with their clients. There's a team of services that allow that. There is a sad fact of reality for folks who are kind of really like email, but it's that email is nothing. It is, I consider it to be the blockbuster of communication. And people want to text. People read text messages. And I think our clients are telling us, based on the statistics, that their love language really is in text messages. They want to receive text message updates from us. And here's examples of ways text messages can be used. When an initial potential client reaches out to the office to schedule a phone call with you, your office can fire out a text 24 hours before the phone call saying, hey, this is a general reminder, time to speak with so-and-so. And since I've done that, I feel like those phone conversations actually happen a lot more. There's a lot less misconnections with people who are supposed to have conversations with. You can also text links to things like signature pages for agreements, for receiving and download data, documents, and even online portals. So when I mentioned before about email buying, there was a report published by CloudX that said 52% of people reported that they were texting other forms, and that the read rate, the percentage of messages that actually get read, is 98% when it's text messaging versus emails being only 18.3%. So if you text them, they will read it. If you email them, they may or may not read it. And so I think a lot of people would really do themselves a favor by helping the client by texting them the way they receive that communication. There are also ways, a big concern for me, that y'all do the domestic family practices. I can't give them my cell phone. If these people have my personal private cell phone, I'm going to get text messages at 2 o'clock in the morning about things that are emergencies that are really not emergencies. And so if you use these services, you don't have to give people your personal cell phone. There are ways that an outgoing message looks like it's coming from your business phone. So you can still kind of keep that separation between attorney and family life by utilizing text messaging service that will use the office number instead of your personal cell phone, and it doesn't work with lines to use your personal cell phone, which exposes communication. Here's some providers that do that. I said these slides can be emailed to everybody, but this is just a couple services that I've seen people use on what to basically sign up for. A lot of them are going to be on the monthly subscription program, but other things have been built in. For example, what I use also built in that way too. So a lot of times when people are using their own providers, they've got a text messaging service that's kind of an add-on to that. So check that out rather than just paying extra money to something. Electronic signatures are another option as well. I don't know how often each of you are using e-signature, but I know that clients really like it. For me at my office, when I'm doing an initial consultation with somebody and they say, hey, what do I do to follow and get signed up? I tell them, just let me know, give me your email, and I'll send you an email with a link to pay online and an attorney-client agreement. You can call me with any questions. Otherwise, if you want to sign it, you can just click the button right there. You can sign your paper on your phone, and it comes right back to me. And I think decreasing the time between first talk to the person to when you can convert them into a client essentially increases your conversion rate. And so electronic signatures help in that area. They help in getting the important documents back. And also don't forget that I think it was 2019 Tennessee had the remote notary. So there are ways you can have clients use a remote notary service and get you a notarized document back without it being in their house. And those people will just want to like verify that they have their driver's license and things like that on video. But you can use a remote notary service to get things signed under the back a lot faster.
Do you have any recommendations for e-signature providers, or is that incorporated in any of the other programs?
It's in some of the programs. It's in the one that I use for video, but I also use a company called GrabSign as well. There's one, Adobe, the professional version of Adobe has a signature function with that as well. And so and I think I've got maybe some at the end of this particular segment that may have some other names as well. But check out Adobe. Yeah, they got Hello Sign, Adobe Sign, DocuSign. There's a whole bunch of them that do that. And there's a platform, whether you guys want to check it out, it's called AppSumo. And it's kind of where like low-level developers are trying to kind of get a start, and you can buy lifetime subscriptions for a single fee. And so, for example, I did that with this company called GrabSign. I paid it one time to get it, was like $100, and I got it for life. And I could have like 200 signatures a month, and I don't even pay them. It's kind of hit or miss on that app for what you can find, but sometimes you can kind of sneak in on the early basis and get signed up with an app, like a subscription for a single fee rather than paying. Also, there's the digital payment option. You know, a lot of times people want to pay cash and check, but a lot of times people want to pay with card or other ways as well. You can receive digital payments as well through your office. I think most people probably today say they want to pay with credit card points or whatever, so they want to pay on credit cards or lower prices gave you. I think it helps us out in as far as it making it easy for our clients to pay us. Also, what I started to kind of see a trend in the last year or two is people paying online to get e-check. So sometimes people are concerned about the credit card processing fee. Sometimes there's just like a small fee. Like e-check at one point when I first did this, law base was $2 per transaction. So I mean, I've had clients try to call me before to pay a fee like $5,000 or $10,000 credit card with the, when you're going to get, there might be a fee for the transaction. Well, if you have to do it via like an e-check option, then it's a $2 transaction. So that's a great way to use kind of that technology for e-checks to help. They also like law pay has like payment plan options as well. Payment plan. So that's also something that there's examples of providers for online payments. I think obviously law pay is the biggest one in that area. But sometimes providers, I know mine, has its own payment processing part of it as well. Right. So when you're actually working on the case, here are some things that I've used in the past that help me, and I hope they can help you. The first is a welcome package. Then there's a client portal, and there's some stuff related to document automation. So there are a lot of times that we tell people the same thing over and over and over. And if you're in a domestic space, I think you know what it's like to tell people, don't do this or do that. One of the first things I develop what I call the welcome package. And it just kind of covers all the ground. I say a lot of this stuff to people early on in the case, but it's really nice to know that I covered my ground, my basis, and told them things like, don't delete your social media posts, or tell me about the skeletons in the closet, And sometimes, clients don't always get it, so getting a welcome package can kind of help that and keep people saying the same thing over and over. So here's kind of what mine looks like. And this is just all online. I shoot out a text message. It's formatted for the phone, and I think it took me like 2 to 3 hours to prepare. And I feel like they liked it, but basically I tell them a little bit about who we are, how we try to get results for them. I've got stuff in there about the attorney-client privilege. I talk about advice from friends and family, about what your second cousin's uncle did on his personal injury case. It's not going to be really relevant to your case. And so I'm trying to kind of put down all the information that I think is going to be helpful to them when it comes to things like social media. Don't post anything on social media that you would want to show the judge in your case. And so these are really good general reminders to people as far as how to behave themselves through the case. And that way, when if they run afoul about it one day, you can say, that I sent you and said you took a look at, it kind of covered a lot of those reminders. Mine was done in Canva, but you can do it in all sorts of other things as well, like Photoshop, WordPress. There's another option that people can have for client portals. I think this is just huge for client communication. They can actually create credentials, log in, and see what's happening. There's a ton of stuff that allows people to do that, but that really covers what are one of the most common points I talked about earlier about client communication. They can see what's going on. They can upload documents directly to you through your client portal. They can check out and say, hey, there's a calendar entry for a hearing date this date, so they don't have to call your office and frustrate your staff by calling 3 times wondering, what time does court start or where is court meeting within these client portals. So I created one test case, so it's testing. And so on my system, that's what they can test. There could be dashboards for the messages, they can check the calendar. I can assign tasks to the client and say, hey, how much you get for your taxes? That would be really nice to do that for case. I can put in bills, they can check their bills to receive it. They can even do some kind of communication from the chat that would be right through that service. And so in my experience, people like using that. It's really kind of decreased the time that my staff has had to spend, giving people the same updates over and over again. A lot of different services do that. We don't want to get a whole big suite of services, but Link is a really popular one I've seen people use. But I use mine, the one you saw, it's kind of more basic. It's not as pretty as the ones you put last week. Another one is document automation. And so I think there's kind of a cardinal sin sometimes where, as an attorney, we try sometimes to do samples or old pleadings and just retrofit and change people's names out and customize it to the client. But I think we all know what happens is if God forbid somebody gets a client that has a former client's name, I think a lot of us probably see the opposing counsel maybe get something from them and their client gets all upset about, whose name is that? Who the heck are they? And by doing document automation, you actually avoid that because you just plug in people's data, and then what happens is it'll generate the document based on the template. And so that way you don't have to worry about kids' names getting wrong because they were transposed the right way. Just kind of make sure all the data is right, everything else. Some of the ones that do that are kind of listed here, and I think all that's been kind of small out too, but I think a lot of people like documenting and others. But I think the big thing for that is just having good templates. I mean, us as lawyers, lots of people collect templates that we like to use in other cases, but have a good set of templates that you use. And so an example of this, kind of just putting this together, hoping it makes sense. Is on an intake phase, I could talk to somebody, they can say they want to hire me, whatever, if it's a family case, I could push that form that they fill out, and the form says type it in their name, type it in his name, type in their husband's name, once they type everything. Then I get it back, all I gotta do is press generate and everything. It's got the divorce complaint, I've got the conjunctions, I've got everything. So it's already just right there. And then when they complain if the kid's name is spelled wrong, I'm like, I didn't spell it wrong. Actually, I didn't, and so I would say that to them. But again, I think that's something for you to kind of know that you've got that information, that they can process it and can get you something. That would be stopping information. And then just some other things that I think people can do kind of help themselves out. Is document collection, having some kind of operating procedures, the phone systems I mentioned, phone answering, kind of document collection. So I've got a daughter, she's 5 years old, and I remember when I was trying to help her kind of get dressed in the morning, she's always getting her shoes on the right feet, right? So we had little Velcro shoes, and I kind of work with her on which shoe goes on what foot. So what I started doing is I lay out all the clothes, get everything ready, but I took her shoes and I put them out the way they're supposed to go on her feet as if she was sitting in a chair, right? And I tried to make it easy, right? And by making it easy for her, she was able to get herself dressed in the morning because she didn't have to figure it out for herself. I made it, really easy for her. I think this document collection stuff, I'm going to show you something that I think is kind of like putting the shoes out for the kid. Is helping your clients breaking it down as far as how they can upload the same documents. And making sure that you have it exchanged everything. So there are no surprises in this case. So this is a program that I use. It is called PegFile, and it's what I use to send a link out to clients so they can give me things. Okay? So there are 2 types of links that I can send. This is what it looks like for my. So at the beginning of the case, here's what I'll do. I'll say to somebody, hey, I'm going to send you an open link. It's just like Dropbox. Put anything that you need something to do. And they can just drop it all in right there. They don't have to worry that the email attachment is too big. It's never going to come through. And as the whole case goes on, they can actually just keep using that to get things. So that's what we call, what I call open. It's just, that's exactly what it looks like. You guys have your phones with you, so it's got a little logo and whatever else up there. You guys can do the same process. But another one is for testing, the test case. And so in the testing case, I've got some kind of evidence stuff that family wants that you use in family, right? So what you can do is you can have separate requests for separate things. So in this case, this guy testing, I've got a separate link for the financial statements. I've got a separate link that they use for the evidence of ownership of deeds or property. Another one for business or income or bank statements. And so there's a separate space for them to put everything in. This is really what I was getting at. Put the shoes, out, make it easy for them. So that way they can see exactly where they need to put things to get you what you need. And I love it. I've got a few people that I'm using Python. I love it when I post a let's use that. Because when I send it to that, it's all packaged like Discovery can kind of be packaged together. It's right there. And then when I get it from them, it's packaged similarly. So it makes things a little bit easier for all of us to kind of do our job. And so when somebody in my case gets me information, you can see the options that I've got in this program called PegFile. I can accept it or I can reject it. I can put comments on what they did to me. And I can kind of let them say, hey, the taxes that you said, I said for 2019 taxes and you put 2020. I can put the reject and I can put a little comment, please re-upload with the 2019, not 2020 taxes. And so that way, kind of real time, the client say, mess up there and go ahead and ditch something else reject. So I can approve or reject each of the requests, and then that can make this bypass. So he made the program. The second thing I think in this kind of helpful resources for clients and for you and your office is developing what I call standard operating procedures. Every firm can use a different software or program for this. The one that you'll see here that I've kind of created is through a company called Notion. But there are a lot of people who really like Wikipedia style office manuals essentially. And so you do it online and make pretty attach documents as well. And it helps you be consistent too by giving the office consistent guidelines. So here's kind of one that I kind of jokingly call Hagentopia. But you've got little things about vacation stuff, your employees, your staff members. You've got little workflows for family law litigation, personal interest. That way your staff will always kind of know how to organize next steps to move along. And nobody's not wondering, I don't know what to do on this case, or I don't know what the next step will be. So in my office manual, I've got other things as well. how to use our client portals, document collection, how to schedule appointments, video, make conference calls, and you can see here, we go to the next one. Now, I have one for this answer, right? And, you know, I've had a variety of factors. Some people answer the phone and say, yeah. Other people, you know, they all do it differently. Some people say, you know, hey, thanks for calling my office. And I want a standard way that people kind of answer. Everybody gets the same experience when you call our office. And so this is one of the things that I created that, you know, just what it is, why you do it, and it kind of lays out and maps the process for my office so that I know no matter who's sitting in the seat with the phone call comes in, that they're gonna get the same service, you know. You can do that through Notion or a bunch of others, training rules, kind of an expensive one. There's a lot of different services, but the one that I use. So this is kind of getting back to the voice over IP services there. The only downside I was to say is if you don't have good internet. If your internet connection kind of stinks, it's going to be problematic. If your internet goes down, your phones go down. And if your phones go down, that's not good. So one thing you can do with providers is you can set up call forward. So at my office, if the spectrum Ring Central will update it and it'll actually just come into like my cell phone or someone else's phone during that brief period of time. And you can do a lot of other cool things with VoIP phone systems. I mean, I think if you guys use anything like those phone trees or whatever else, you're probably on some kind of a VoIP phone system to do that, hold, use it, all these different kinds of things. That's what the VoIP phone service is. And also to phone apps. I mean, if you're going to have a phone jack plug-in, that's what you're going to use on the cell phone. You know, you're probably not going to be able to have some kind of app. So for me, I could be driving, I could, you know, also be on the phone with somebody, I could be at court, and they still don't have to have my cell phone. All I do is I open the Ring Central app for my phone, I log into the app on my phone, and then I make a call. And then that way they don't have my cell phone number, and I'm able to have, you know, initiate client communication. Wait to the end of the day and get out the door, and it allows me to stay in touch a little bit better. Those are the different internet phone-based services. I've personally heard a lot of good stuff about that. I think the last in the space is phone answering services. I think if you're in the San Juan area as well, there's a lot of emergencies. A lot of people calling with hot issues. They got something they need immediate help with. You can get phone answering services so that somebody can pick up and can answer the phone for you at any hour of the day. There's some that will answer 24 hours, 7 days a week. You can put them on just after hours, weekends, or whatever it is. And then if somebody calls in with an issue, somebody will be there. There'll be a live human for them to talk to. And they can say, yeah, I'll have somebody get in touch with you first thing Monday morning. It's not an emergency. Or if the client says it's an emergency, the phone answering service will shoot you an email. And they'll say, hey, so-and-so called, said it's an emergency, and you need to call back. Right? Then that way you kind of know what's happening in real time. But if you're going to do that, you're going to be most likely going to have a phone service, because there's no way that this person on the internet is going to be able to answer the phone that's in that unless you're on the internet. I literally had somebody working for me from the Philippines, and she was on my VoIP system, so she was great. She helped to analyze needs, she was incredible. And she was on I had a VoIP system, and so she could catch calls when they came in, forward messages to me. And so I never had to worry about it, and I knew that it was on this cover. Obviously, I think that there's a bilingual option. A lot of people really like that as well. So you can get this a couple of them, back office managed for me, AI, some of the I think TV is the most economical. But I will say, if you guys are going to consider phone answering services, you have to have it. You got to take away the discretion, right? You got to make it so when somebody calls, if first you ask us this question, and then if they answer yes, then you go here. If they go no, then you go there. I think among the attorneys that I've talked to who have used phone answering services, the ones who didn't like it, were the ones who were like, well, you kind of know what to do. Just answer the policy, right? And these people are like, oh, I'm not, it's something that we've worked in a long time. A lot of the ones like back office entities and Ruby, they'll have ones that are specific for legal services. But if you give them the least amount of discretion as possible, I think you're going to have to. So I did this presentation for the Courthouse Square series back in January. Somebody asked me about ChatGPT. And there's a whole bunch of stuff about artificial intelligence and all this new stuff that's coming out. I know it kind of freaks a lot of people out or they're not familiar with this. But I use AI and I love that. You gotta obviously know what you're doing with it. You have to, everything that stops with you. So if you're going to use it to help, you may have a feed or anything else to your job to make sure that everything's correctly in there. But I'm going to show you a couple of examples of how I use artificial intelligence. I use a program called Fireflies.ai. Fireflies.ai is a transcription service. I can take any recording I want, I can upload it, and I can get an artificial transcript. I've had the opposing counsel agree with me to record that position, even though over there, as soon as the deposition is done, I take that recording through up to Fireflies, I will have pushed it to the opposing counsel, I email it to them. And so they get it, I get it, I've had a transcript the same day as the deposition. And so I am working on my cross-examination questions. I could the same day based on the answers that I know in that deposition. So it's really been helpful for me. It's got a little thing called thread, I guess they call it like anything. It goes on your browser and you can just click on it and it'll give you a summary of any articles you got on your and it's really kind of it'll help you kind of summarize and ask questions and kind of chat to you. If you haven't used ChatGPT, it is a service, I think it was like Elon Musk or somebody that helped create that, but essentially you just ask questions and it'll give you answers, right? And so you have to kind of give it instructions. But I'll give you an example of how I've used it in a second. So that's Fireflies. Ask Your PDF. Ask Your PDF is another one that I do. You can upload a PDF to this service, and it will analyze the PDF, and it'll allow you to ask questions and utilize the AI with the PDF. Right? So here's an example. Ring Central has like a 200-something page phone manual. I uploaded the manual to Ask Your PDF and said how much you can see the voice, right? And it told me right there 2 seconds, and it even gave me the source reference. So go to page 84. This is where it explains it, but you hit *8, and then press 5, and then press 2, and then message. I didn't have to read 250 pages of a manual to do that. I have been able to use it for other services. For example, I put one in the deposition, and I uploaded it, and I said, I feel like this line. Tell me instances where the proponent was inconsistent or made deceptive comments, right? And it said, here's a list of 20 times this answer was inconsistent. And I use that to cross-examine this. And so you can use it for help you. And a lot of people are worried about confidentiality and things like that, but the AI is analyzed with the algorithm. It's not a humanized, and after I've done that session, it deletes the source material. So it is end-to-end, and it's nothing that I need to worry about as far as, disclosures of information. So that's how I use that group. Go this one. There's a ton of other tools. Like ChatGPT just started this, but I've included in this PDF. I wanted you to see it graphic. You got design, writing, productivity, video sessions, marketing, there's like thousands of services. And you got to be careful with which ones you use. But I think that if you utilize this the right way, you can practice and provide a better client experience. You can prepare a little bit better as well. And so there are other thoughts in here that other things you could possibly do. So these are just this is a taste of stuff that can help everybody practice. I think it's something to check out and just check on my time here. But on a final note, I'll give you an example of how I use some of the AI services. And so what I did is, with the potential client's permission, I recorded a phone conversation with every manager, right? And I wanted to listen back and say, hey, how can I talk to this person better? How can I do it? Right? So I took that recording and I uploaded it over to Fireflies and I got the transcript, right? So then what I did is I threw the transcript over to Azure PDF. And I said, this is kind of how ChatGPT works. You have to kind of tell the parameters. Pretend you're a managing partner at a law firm. You are a big law firm and you are responsible for other things. And you are evaluating how your attorneys communicate with listen to or read the following transcript and give advice for how this attorney can better communicate with attorneys. That's what I asked. And it spit out 20 things I could do. And I got a little bit defensive. I saw one that said I could work on my active listening as well. And I got a little defensive about it. And I was like, oh, wow, like, good listener, like, So I was like, well, go into detail. Like, what do you mean active listening, right? And it did. I mean, it humbled me. It was like, hey, over here with your client, when that person said this, you didn't respond as if you were actually listening to what they said. You answered something totally different. And it was right. And I used that information because I wanted to critique myself and I wanted to help myself become better. And if you guys use this stuff right, you can provide a better service. You provide a better customer service experience. You can interact with listeners or learn more about yourself to help them. So these are just some of the ways that I feel like you guys can. It's helped me to pass. So that's all I've got. Unless anybody has questions.